Good morning from Mount G's. Just going to do a quick video today. This past week has been very difficult, and it's kind of lots going on. Been processing a lot, been coming to some realizations and just dealing with a lot of things. And so today I just kind of want to do a quick recap. We finished Genesis 2 last week, and before moving into Genesis 3, I kind of want to give an idea of a way to look at the Bible, and that might sound weird, but my mind's been in terms of walking with God, of experiencing eternal life by knowing God and walking with God. We can look at the Bible a little bit differently. So not the Bible's distinctions right now are Old Testament, New Testament, and within each of those divisions, there are smaller divisions. So the Old Testament's got 5: the law, the history, the poetry, the major prophets, minor prophets. New Testament is 3 divisions: the Gospels, the Epistles, and then the apocalyptic or end time literature. But thinking about the Bible in a different sense of teaching us who God is and how to walk with God, look at the Bible, Genesis 1-2, of beginning creation, of ideal intention of God. And we would all agree that the perfection we saw in Genesis 1 and 2 of creation existing in perfect harmony, of relationships existing in perfect harmony, of life having no end, of there being no death, of there being no sickness, of there being no sin, and man existing in perfect relationship with God, does not exist anymore. And so we have this ideal creation that God gave us, that was God's intention and design, but then something happened, something went wrong. And so the second area of the Bible we look at is that what happened, what went wrong, and that's Genesis 3, and we'll begin to touch on that next week. And then following Genesis 3, so Genesis 4 through the end of the Old Testament is the result of what went wrong. It's what happened after everything went wrong, and how man tried to get to God, about how God interacted with man. And so that's the rest of the Old Testament. And then we have the Gospels. We have God fixing it, or God solving the problem, God stepping into time and saying, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm ultimately going to make things right. Then from Acts chapter 2 through the end of the Bible is God working to bring about fulfillment, or what happens as a result of Jesus. And ultimately, from the end of Acts chapter 1 through the present day, that's what we have, is God saying, this is what I've done, and before I take everything back to Eden, this is the time you have to prepare for that. And so that's where we're at. So we saw Eden, we saw perfection, and thing that's coming to mind right now is, think of, if you've seen The Lord of the Rings, read The Lord of the Rings, think of the Shire before the rest of the book. And so before even they know about the ring in the Shire, that's I think Eden, and I think that's the perfect expression of eternity and what God created us for, is that Shire existence. And then obviously the ring comes into power. We have to go on this journey in order to get back to that. And so the Bible ultimately is taking us back to Eden, and the story of walking with God is taking us back to walking with Eden, back to that perfection. And right now things are hard, things don't feel like that ideal seems so distant and so foreign. And there's 2 songs that I've really been listening to a lot. One is Hymn of Heaven by Phil Wickham, and the other one is There Will Be a Day by Jeremy Camp. And it puts that perspective of all this is going to end. The hardships, the difficulty, the pain, all of it's going to end. And it paints that picture of what it's going to be like to finally experience the restoration of everything, to be back in Eden, in that perfection, in that ideal relationship with all creation, with all humanity, and ultimately with God. And we can we can experience that to an extent now, and that's what Jesus said, is eternal life is knowing God. And so that is what we're doing, is we're striving to know God. We're striving for that Eden existence, and we're waiting to get back to Eden. But until then, we're going to walk with God through the hardships. So that's where we're going. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Next week, we're going to pick back up in Genesis 3. But this week, I hope we all walk with God. I hope we come to know him closer. And I hope we experience eternal life, because that is what we were created for. I hope you have a good week, and I hope to see you soon.